Solving equations, worksheet number 3, two-step equations. Solve each equation, show your work. Let's look over here at what I have written in red. This is from your process chart, your blue chart you have. We're concentrating on steps 4, 5, and 6. We are looking at the inverse of adding and subtracting, the inverse of multiplying and dividing, and then making sure that we get that variable all by itself at the very last step. So I'm going to start you on some of these, and then you can finish them up using your 3 steps that we're concentrating on. So, problem number 1. Negative 4x minus 7 equals 33. I drew my line at the equal sign. Now I'm looking for step 4, inverse of adding or subtracting. Now, I want to get rid of any adding or subtracting to the variable. So negative 7 or 7 is being subtracted from the x. So I want to get rid of that subtraction by doing the opposite. So I'll be adding 7 to both sides. There's the bell. So the point of that was to get rid of the 7. So I have negative 4x all by itself coming down. And 33 plus 7 gets me 40. So now I've finished step 4, and I'm going to look at step 5, the opposite or inverse of multiplying and dividing. This is really a multiplication problem. There's an invisible multiplication sign. It's really negative 4 times x. I have negative 4 of the x's. So the opposite of multiplying would be dividing. And watch what I divided by, negative and 4. Draw my equals line so I can finish it up pretty. X comes down by itself. Those 4's went away. 40 divided by negative 4, negative 10. Use that calculator to get those signs right on these problems. Let's look at number 2. 36 minus 6f equals 12. Do I have any adding or subtracting with the variable? Well, this 36 is being added to this negative 6f. So let's get rid of this addition by subtracting. What I do to one side, I do to the other. 36's went away. That's great. Negative 6f's come down. This negative sign, just like when we combine, you carry the sign in front of you, so his sign is negative. That's going to equal whatever 12 minus 36 is. Well, our answer definitely has to be negative because the army of 36 is bigger than 12. So now we have negative 24. Use that calculator if you need to. So now I have negative 6f's equaling negative 24. I need to do step 5, the opposite of multiplying or dividing. Well, since I know this is a multiplication problem, I need to divide. And notice I'm dividing by negative 6. What I do to one side, I do to the other. You solve for f. What does f equal? Number 3. I draw my line at the equals. Negative 17 equals 4x minus 5. It's okay that we wrote it backwards. We can have this number here in the variable with this guy over there. That's fine. We still do the same process. Step 4, the opposite of adding and subtracting. What is being added or subtracted to my x? Well, my 5 is being subtracted actually from my 4x's. So the opposite of subtracting 5 would be adding 5. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. The whole point of this was to get rid of the 5's, and I just did. So 4x's come down. Negative 17 plus 5. Negatives win the war. More 17 than 5. And my answer is negative 12. You finish this one. What is the opposite of multiplying or dividing? Finish that one. Pause it if you need to pause it, or come back to it later on. Let's scroll down to 8 and 9 we did together in class. So let's go to the back. The back's got some toughies. We're going to be looking at 10, 11, and 12. Remember, step 4 is that opposite of adding and subtracting. Step 5, the opposite of multiplying and dividing. And old step 6 is all by itself. We need to get him all by himself, that variable. That is supposed to be an F. There we go. 10 looks funny, but don't let it freak you out. We draw a line at the equal sign. We just look at our first step. Do we have anything being added or subtracted to our K? Well, this is division. We don't want to do that first. This is being subtracted. So the opposite of subtracting 12 would be adding 12. Yikes. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Those 12s disappear. That was my whole point. I end up with K over 4 equals negative 10 plus 12. 12 wins the war, so it's going to be positive. It's going to be positive by 2. So something over 4 equals 2. Well, this is a division sign in 7th and 8th grade, so the opposite of dividing would be multiplying. So dot, what are we going to get rid of? The 4. So we'll multiply by 4. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Draw my big equals line. 4's go away. K is all by himself, which is good for step 6. 2 times 4 is 8. Let's look at number 12. Let's draw our equals line. 80 equals 76 plus z divided by negative 3. So, do I have anything added or subtracted from the variable? Well, here's my variable. Something's being added to it. So the opposite of adding 76 is going to be subtracting 76. What I do to this side, I have to do to this side. Draw my line. 76's are gone, yay. So we have z over negative 3 equals, yikes, 80 minus 76, which is 4. That is a terrible looking z. Let's try that again. There we go. Z over negative 3. So again, looking at number 10 and comparing this, I've got a variable being divided by a number. I'm on step 5. Do I have anything attached to the variable through multiplying or dividing? Yes, I do. I have a negative 3. It's being divided, so the opposite of dividing is multiplying. To get rid of negative 3, I multiply by negative 3. What I do to one side, I've got to do to the other. You solve for z. What does z equal? Let's look down at 13 and 14. Again, adding and subtracting. Step 4. Step 5, get rid of multiplying and dividing. But we need to review PEMDAS for 13 and 14. Let's think about that. Parentheses, exponents, multiplying and dividing, adding and subtracting. Here's really step 4. We're going to undo PEMDAS. And here's really step 5, isn't it? Going up the scale. So the very last thing we can ever undo are parentheses. So remember that when we're looking at number 13. We have m plus 5 divided by 3. So we are going to have to add this first before we can divide by 3. So really there's invisible parentheses here, which means we will have to do this last. There are parentheses, last step to undo. Something plus 5, all of that answer is being divided by 3, and that's going to give us 15. So let's draw our line. Do we have any adding or subtracting attached to the variable? We do, but it's in parentheses. So we can't do it yet. We need to go to step 5. Any multiplying or dividing attached to the variable? Yeah, there's my division sign right there. So the opposite of dividing by 3 is multiplying by 3. What I do to one side, I better do to the other, or I will not have a balanced equation. My 3's go away. I'm left with m plus 5 equals 45. And now this is a simple old addition equation. What plus 5 is 45? Let's get rid of adding and subtracting. Opposite of plus 5 is negative 5 or minus 5. Draw your equals line. 5's go away. M equals 40. All right, I'm going to start chart number 14, and you're going to have to finish it. I'm going to put parentheses around here so I remember I need to find the difference of this first before I divide by negative 7. So I'm doing step 4. Do I have anything adding to this that I can, or subtracting that I can take out? No, I'm stuck in parentheses. I cannot do it. So I had to skip to step 5. Dividing by negative 7. Well, the opposite of dividing is multiplying. And I'm multiplying by negative 7. That 14's in the way. I'm multiplying by negative 7. All right. Big old equals sign so you can write your new equation underneath, and that all goes away, remember? So negative 7's and negative 7's go away. Oop, there's my line. W minus 25 equals what kind of 48? Negative, oh, not 48, 28. 28, negative 28. Okay, you tell me what W equals. What will W equal? Let's look at these. I'm going to start you again. 15. There's my line. What should I draw around the y minus 4? Because they have to be together before I divide. Here's my parentheses. So I can't do step 4 because it's inside of parentheses. But I can do step 5, which is the opposite of multiplying or dividing. So I'm going to opposite of dividing by 9, multiply by 9. What I do to one side, I do to the other. You finish this one. 9 times negative 6 equals what? I'll show you that you get rid of the old 9's there. Let's do 16 together. I'm going to start you on it. X minus 32 is on top of dividing by 8. That really is parentheses. Put them there. It's a good visual. See what you can't do that yet. You can't do that because it's in parentheses. So I better do the opposite of dividing by 8, which is multiplying by 8. What I do to one side, I better do to the other. Okay, you finish that one. You have to finish that one. And the other ones, remember, you need to choose 10. And then if you want to try one of these, you can. 18 is a hard one. The quotient of a number and 3, negative 3 rather, minus 5 is 10. The quotient of a number and negative 3 minus 5. So quotient of a number and negative 3. So the division of a number and negative 3 minus 5 is 10. And then you solve for x. All right, good luck, gentlemen.